Hello and welcome to Cycles of Time, your weekly guide to what's happening on Earth as we make our revolutionary journey around the sun. For time immemorial, our human ancestors have created myths and meanings to help us adapt and thrive as seasons change. Join me each week to explore the intersections of these ancient cycles, from the indigenous medicine wheel to the pagan wheel of the year, the Babylonian and Greek Zodiac to the I Ching, the ancient Chinese book of changes. I'm your host, Alison Dale, and this is the Cycles of Time podcast. Hey friends, family, and lovers, welcome to your weekly Cycles of Time forecast. In this episode, for the week of December 16th to 22nd, 2024, the sun is shining on the northernmost point of the wheel of the year. And this is the part of this greater cycle that emphasizes spiritual wisdom, respecting our elders, and owning our own elderhood, and the ever-moving, ever-adaptable qualities of the elements wind and water. Wind is in the indigenous medicine wheel and water is in the Taoist Wuxing cycle. So both of those free-flowing and adaptable elements represent this winter season. For me, I associate the northern part of the wheel of the year with the process of erosion. Just like wind and water in the winter season change and shape the landscape through slow but consistent movements, we also mirror that process in our bodies and in our minds during wintertime. Erosion is a long game process. It's a game that can only be recognized by elders after living through many seasons. When we're children and youth and adults even, the process is different, with a more rapid turnover. It is in elderhood in winter that we can witness and appreciate the small steps that accumulate along the way. So for me, with all that in mind, with this northernmost point of the wheel of the year that we're approaching, I'm personally tapping into this wisdom this week so that I don't get bogged down with frustration and overwhelm. I picked up a sickness in New York a couple weeks ago, and it's just lingering in my sinuses, and it's making me feel like I'm inside a giant bubble. And this Mars retrograde through my first house of self and identity is also kind of making me feel like I'm dragging my legs through tar. So, yay, that's my experience of the world right now. I definitely feel a little bit better today. I'm recording this on Sunday the 15th, so it's a full moon day, giving a little more energy, and also Mercury is stationing direct. So, all that travel during Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, I probably wouldn't want to do that again if I had to look back on it. Sagittarius is a sign that's all about travel, and Mercury retrograde is like in detriment in that sign, and it's also just it was slowing things down. So I am happy to feel a little bit more energy, but the full moon in Gemini that was on Sunday the 15th, the day I'm recording this, was also square Neptune in the sky and also opposite my natal Neptune. So this kind of Delulu dreaminess of Poseidon's planet has been infiltrating my logic-loving mind in a big way. So it's just felt a little soupy and a little slow and a little sick lately. And I'm really tired. My body is tired. How about you? How are you all feeling out there as we approach Yule and the solstice and midwinter? It's a good time to let your body be tired and be cozy if you can, but it's not always possible. It's definitely times like these that I truly appreciate this journey that I'm doing through the wheel of the year, because, sometimes when there's lots happening and I'm feeling energetic, it's hard to slow down and record an episode. But when I make myself record an episode when I'm feeling super slowed down and I'm able to put these pieces together about erosion and elderhood. It gives me, and water and wind, it gives me a lot of much needed perspective on the current moment and makes me feel like I'm not doing something wrong. So it's times like these that I really appreciate this practice. And right now we're in a slow time, a dark time, and kind of a wide angle lens time of year. And it won't always feel this way. However we're feeling right now, it is certain to shift and change. But this Neptunian kind of quality to that full moon that we just had, in addition to my Neptune squaring my natal Neptune, which is a midlife transit that we all go through in our early 40s. This is something that's making me feel like one day inspired by all of the possibilities that live in the infinite soup, and then the next day kind of drowning in the soup. So I just have to remember that this too shall pass. They're all cycles. All of these feelings are cycles, and we will make it through. I made an Instagram post for the full moon in Gemini on Sunday, where I gave some advice based on the human design gates that full moon in Gemini was activating. And those were the sun in the gate of ideas, gate 11, and the moon in the gate of caution, gate 12. And I said, this full moon, let new ideas and ideals flow through you without holding on too tight to them. Let the possibilities of the infinite wash over you. You don't need to know all the answers. Not yet, anyway. This full moon, go inward. Touch in with the place where your daydreams meet your night dreams. Simmer on the messages from that place until they reach a boil. Only then are they ready to be revealed. So I would just, sometimes I just have to take my own advice. And the advice of the lunations and of the season. It's like it's all in there if we just stop to listen and experience. Right now, the moon is waning away from its fullness, during this week, but the sun is remaining in the gate of ideas, gate 11, until this Wednesday, and still making a square to Neptune. It makes an exact square on the 18th. So my message holds true, as frustrating as it might feel in the beginning of the week, to let the infinite sea of possibilities move through you and not hold on too tight. It's kind of just the vibes we're in right now. And again, there's some good news that Mercury has now stationed direct after 3 weeks in retrograde motion. So this week could feel a bit of a return of some forward momentum that's been lacking, especially in our Sagittarian house in our charts. So maybe some brilliant idea that came through and sat inside you and simmered on Sunday's full moon is ready to boil and is ready to be shared with the collective this week. And with Mercury stationing direct, I'd say go for it. Just put it out there with this gate of ideas. This week we have the winter solstice on Saturday, the 21st, which welcomes the celebration of Yule in the pagan wheel of the year and also welcomes Capricorn season. And it is just a beautiful occasion, the solstice, to shine your inner light into the darkness. I just went with my family on our annual pilgrimage to the Pecos Wilderness to find a Christmas tree. We go every year and just tromp around the woods, get a permit and tromp around the woods. And so, I was pretty tired that day and still feeling a little under the weather, but making some effort to decorate the house and light up the inside of my home with twinkly lights and ornaments and music just made me feel so much better, honestly. As much as I kind of resisted it, it was like once it was done, it's like, oh yeah, this is necessary this time of year to do a little bit of inner light shining. And the gate that the sun is transiting through on this week's beautiful solstice, so after the gate of ideals, the sun transits into the gate of self-love. So that resonates with the theme of kind of decorating and shining our inner light, lighting up our inner world too. So let's get into the forecast. This week's highlights are Saturday, December 21st, the winter solstice, which is the longest night and the shortest day of the year in the northern hemisphere, summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. Also on December 21st, the holy day of Yule is being celebrated in the pagan wheel of the year. And that's a celebration that spans beyond that single day, but it is tied into the solstice for sure. Also on that same day, December 21st, the sun enters Capricorn, the season of the sea goat. In tropical astrology, Capricorn always aligns with the winter solstice. And then in the human design and I Ching wheel of the year, from last Friday, December 13th, until this Wednesday, December 18th, we're in the gate of ideas. And from Thursday, the 19th, to Monday, December 23rd, the sun is transiting through the gate of self-love, which is gate 10. And this week's themes are let idealistic ideas flow through you and out of you, lighting up the world. Self-love is not self-obsession. It's a natural alignment with your inner truth, something to consider. And also this week, lighting the Yule log or the fire in the hearth and welcoming the longer days ahead while we kind of contemplate this darkest night and longest night and shine our inner radiant light into the larger world around us. So let me know how you're feeling about those themes and how you celebrate Yule. I'd love to know in the comments if the solstice and Yule is something that you celebrate. Our place in the larger cycles of time composite wheel of the year that you can always find on Instagram at Cycles of Time Podcast or at astro.somatics on Instagram. Or again, you can always subscribe at astrosomatics.substack.com on the Substack platform and get this transmission in your inbox every Monday for free if you'd like to. It's fun to keep gathering supporters and followers there too. So that is where you can find this wheel of the year that has the medicine wheel, the whooshing cycle, the pagan wheel of the year, the Zodiac, and the I Ching human design wheel, and how it all lines up. And in the medicine wheel, we are currently in the northernmost direction, the top of the wheel. That is representing wind, elderhood, and spirituality as far as the type of modality. In the Taoist 5-element whooshing cycle, we're in the element of water. And the pagan season is Yule season. We have arrived at the Yule holy day. The Zodiac season is Sagittarius into Capricorn this week. So we're in the final days of Sagittarius, the Centaur Archer, until December 21st. And that's when we enter Capricorn season. We're in a waning moon phase away from that full moon in Gemini. And in the I Ching and Human Design Wheel of the Year, we're in Gate 11, Earth over Heaven, known as Peace in the I Ching. And that's the Gate of Ideas until Wednesday. And then from Thursday through next Monday, we're in Gate 10, Heaven over Lake, which is known as treading or small steps in the I Ching. And it's also known as the Gate of Self-Love. So jumping into the Monday through Wednesday of the week, the first part of the week with the Gate of Ideas, we're transiting through the Gate 11, and this is the last full gate of Sagittarius season. The Gate 10 that comes next spans between Sagittarius and Capricorn season. It's kind of the linking gate between those two seasons. So Gate of Ideas is the last full gate. And I did talk about this gate in last week's episode more in depth, but a little recap about the energy of Monday through Wednesday is Human Design Gate 11 is the Gate of Ideas, and it's a portal for conceptualizing and sharing visions that inspire others. It's rooted in the energy of the Ajna Center, the third eye, and it brings a profound ability to explore the realms of imagination and possibility. From the perspective of the I Ching, it aligns with hexagram 11, which is known as peace, or harmony, and it symbolizes a harmonious flow between creative forces and receptivity. In the Gene Keys, Gate 11 invites us to move from the shadow of obscurity, which is a state of confusion and disconnection from truth, into the gift of idealism, where ideas are grounded in hope and clarity. And at its highest expression, it is the city of light, where we are offered a transcendent wisdom and the true capacity to radiate our inner truth and beauty from all of these ideas that we are allowing to flow through us. Gate 11 teaches us the power of storytelling and how ideas, when they're shared with integrity, can bring peace and harmony and enlightenment to humanity. So, like I said last week, it's about letting the ideas that are coming through kind of just flow through you without holding on to them too tightly, and sharing them with the world, kind of knowing that we have to have a huge slew of ideas to come up with anything collaborative. So let the ideas flow through. I think as the final gate of Sagittarius season, this gate 11 is so fitting, because if we look at Sagittarius as like a story arc, basically it started with a gate of power and moved to the gate of focus. And so it was kind of about galloping toward the horizon with strength and focus. And then we moved into the gate of steady rhythm. So we're kind of keeping this steady pace and gaining perspective on the world at large and our place within it. The final two gates of Sagittarius, the egoist, gate 26, and the gate of ideas, gate 11, are about kind of showing up in our fullness and recognizing how important the contributions of ourselves and our ideas are to the world. So I feel like Sagittarius is just a really, it's a season of self-awareness, of kind of, before that we're in Scorpio season and we're going into the depths of ancestry and facing our fears. And then Sagittarius is like, I'm off to the races. I got to go see the world for myself and put this all together and see kind of where I fit into that. So, after the traveling centaur, Archer sees all of these corners of the earth and visits them and kind of recognizes himself within them. He's ready to give all of himself to something larger in a meaningful way. And that's what Capricorn season is all about, is really a transpersonal time of thinking about the larger world. And first, before we can jump into Capricorn season, Sagittarius has to kind of sit in the darkness on this darkest night of the year, the winter solstice, and find the light within himself that can carry him forward. The human design gate that links Sagittarius to Capricorn is gate 10, the gate of self-love. So before Capricorn can evolve from the fish to the mountain goat, where during that season he's kind of fighting the good fight, climbing the mountain, taking one for the team, the sea goat has to also begin with a deep love of self and a bright spark within in order to tackle that mountain that's up ahead of deep winter. And inner self-love is the culmination of Sagittarius's quest for wisdom. It's kind of how I see Sagittarius season. It's a perfect ending. And it also sets the stage as the beginning of Capricorn season for those peaks that lie ahead of us. So from Thursday through Monday, we are transiting through, the sun is in the gate of self-love. And it's also known as the gate of behavior of the self. The gate of self-love is a deeply individual energy that's rooted in the G center, the identity center in the human design body graph. And it emphasizes self-awareness, self-love, and authenticity. It inspires us to live according with our inner truth, which guides how we act and helps us express ourselves in the world with a truly aligned vision. It lines up with hexagram 10 in the I Ching, which is known as treading or small steps. And this hexagram speaks to walking a careful and intentional path with integrity. The wisdom of this gate reminds us that how we interact with life is a direct reflection of our inner alignment, and it carries the potential to influence others through the example of self-assuredness and behavior that's really aligned with our own deep sense of self. And in the Gene Keys, gate 10 is kind of along the spectrum of frequency between the shadow of self-obsession, the gift of naturalness, and the city of being. So in the shadow, self-obsession, we become kind of fixated on our flaws or overly absorbed in our individuality. It's kind of the shadow side of Sagittarius or Capricorn as well, this soapbox quality of being like, I got it. I know what I'm all about. But it's like an obsession about that. And that can create feelings of isolation or insecurity or just rub people the wrong way. So if we start to accept ourselves in a deeper level, this energy transforms into the gift of naturalness. And naturalness is really just kind of what it sounds like. It's where our actions are effortlessly aligned with our authentic essence. And it is really about, once again, a lot of the gifts here, the service level of the Gene Keys reflect the present moment, just being in the present moment and having a deep connection to the moment where we live and act without pretense or effort. And so it's this fine line between self-awareness and kind of natural exuding of our self and self-obsession where we're hyper self-aware. And this gate has the city of being, which is a transcendence beyond self-identity as something that's contained within our skin and within our body. But it's really looking at the self as a pure state of presence where life is lived as it is without a need for justification or explanation. It's a true present moment experience, just simply being. And that by being, we are being ourselves because there's nothing to do or change or fix in order to be yourself. Yourself is there. It's what's inside. And so gate 10, the gate of self-love, is ultimately about self-empowerment and having the courage to walk your unique path in this world. It invites us to examine our behavior and motivations. And that's not from a place of self-judgment, but more from a place of reflecting on the pure essence of ourselves, the self-love. And when it's fully expressed, it serves as a guiding light for others, showing the beauty of living authentically and inspiring those around us to embrace their own truth. Gate 10 is a call to honor the inherent perfection of being yourself, regardless of external expectations. And as I recorded that, my daughter just walked in the room and gave me a nice kiss. And I was just, thinking about how a lot of these gifts and city levels are with us when we're children. We have it's hard not to be authentic when you're a kid. There's not as much self-referential qualities or knowing how to look at ourselves from the outside. And so tap into your inner child for this gate of self-love during the solstice. Thanks for the kisses. So, yes, this winter solstice, shine your inner light. The longest night is marked by the winter solstice, and it also marks the rebirth of the sun in traditional cultures as the sun has gone away, and we know that this is the day that the days start to get longer. So it is a profound opportunity to reflect on and embody self-love, and I love how this gate and this hexagram in the outer wheel of the year really corresponds with the winter solstice and the celebrations of that time. It's a sacred time of year to me. It feels, like so wonderful that we have this to celebrate and to honor our inner light amidst the darkness and nurture ourselves with the same care and reverence that we extend to others during this season. Self-love during the solstice can be cultivated through intentional rituals that acknowledge our worth and celebrate our resilience and affirm our connection to nature and the cycles of life and the cycles of time. So by embracing stillness and turning inward, we can rekindle a sense of gratitude for who we are and the unique journey we walk. On the solstice, I really like to light a fire and sit by the fire and just kind of gaze into the flames, and then kind of take a look out the window, or take a little bit of time outside and look up at the stars and look up at the deep sky. And I like to also write down things throughout the course of the year that I am proud of, that I've accomplished, like really just kind of gather together the things that I have loved about the year and keep those close to my heart, put them on the altar. And then I like to think about the things that weren't so great over the course of the year and write them down as well, and then put them into the fire and watch them burn away. So it's a very simple, short ritual. And I am curious if there's anything that you all do out there specific to the solstice. I'm headed to a solstice celebration this Saturday with a group of parents and kids, where they will do a labyrinth, kind of a farolito labyrinth. Farolitos in New Mexico are these kind of paper bags with a candle in them, so they're like a glowing lantern, and they're beautiful. They're all over the place right now. And so this one is walking a labyrinth with some nice greenery and the farolitos, and having children walk to the center and light their candle from the center candle, and then kind of walk back out along the spiral and place their candle somewhere along the spiral, so it grows the light outward in this kind of spiral fashion. And I think it's a Waldorf tradition that some of the moms that I know participate in. And I've never done this specifically, but I have walked a lot of farolito labyrinths myself, and it's just a beautiful meditative tradition. So, in the celebration of Yule and the pagan wheel of the year, there are symbols like the Yule log and the Yule-Goat, and also kind of holly is a traditional plant around Yule. And those remind us of renewal and protection and strength that is necessary during these darkest nights. Lighting a Yule log can symbolize the burning away of self-doubt and the illumination of our inherent beauty and potential. And as the flames crackle, we set intentions for self-love and compassion, and release any harsh judgments that we've held against ourselves over the past year. We've also got the Yule-Goat, which I'll get into a little bit more in a minute, but it's a symbol of endurance and an enduring spirit of like a goat in wintertime. And goats oftentimes symbolize resilience, as with Capricorn as well. But the Yule-Goat can inspire us to recognize and honor our own resilience and perseverance. And then decorating with holly or pine or pinon or any type of greenery that has kind of a sharp leaf this time of year represents protection and vitality, and serves as a reminder to shield ourselves from negative self-talk and embrace that spark of life that's within us. I was lucky enough to be asked this year to collaborate on a product design project by my friend Justine Kahn, who's the founder of Botania Skincare. She was on for her birthday episode in Leo season. And so you can listen to that if you like to hear all about Botania and the formation of this beautiful earth-based, cycle-based skincare company. But I painted a watercolor of pinon and of juniper for the holiday season. And I'll put the link in the show notes to Botania where you can see those. It was just a really beautiful experience to build a relationship with these plants and think about how they're associated with the signs of Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, and this kind of colder part of the year where resilience is really key. And their qualities in skincare are kind of also about protection. And so highly recommend checking them out. They're amazing. Hydrosols, these sprays that feel so good on the skin in the dry of winter. And so again, there's a lot of symbols around. Another thing I like to do this time of year as a ritual is go and gather greens and dried plants and pods and things that are out on a walk around, as everything seems like it's losing its life, to kind of bring together and create a garland out of the world that I find on a walk, and pay reverence to the plants that have sustained us throughout the year. So with these simple rituals and connections to the earth and the fire and the dark sky, this season is encouraging us to rest and reflect and honor our inner cycles. And so when we align with the themes of Yule and the winter solstice, we can really create space for self-acceptance and self-love by letting go of things that have not quite worked for that we're holding on to as far as self-judgment, and planting seeds of kindness towards ourselves that will blossom as the days grow longer. I feel like it's a great time to celebrate not just the return of the sun, but that radiant light that resides within each of us, and how we all can shine. So moving on a little bit from that to the two goats of the solstice, the title of this episode is the solstice, the sea goat, the Yule-Goat, and the gate of self-love. I just like how that flowed together. So I wanted to talk about the two goats of the solstice, which are the Yule-Goat and the sea goat, and get into a little bit about the history of Yule and kind of Capricorn season, and why we have goats surrounding us from different cultures. So Yule is known as Jul in Old Norse, J-O with an accent L. Not 100% sure of the correct pronunciation there, but Jul kind of sounds like Yule. And it is the midwinter festival that is traced back to ancient Germanic and Scandinavian pagan traditions. And it is a precursor in those traditions to the Christian customs of Christmas, happening around the same time of year. So Yule is deeply tied to nature and the cycles of the sun, reflecting the spiritual and agricultural rhythms of these early agrarian societies. And among Germanic people, Yule honored the rebirth of the sun and the promise of longer, warmer days to come. It was a festival of feasting and merriment and rituals that were aimed at fertility and abundance and protection for the coming year. One of the customs, as I mentioned just now, was the burning of the Yule log, which you might have heard of, which was a large piece of wood that symbolized light triumphing over darkness. This fire was believed to hold protective and purifying qualities, and its embers were often kept as charms for the year ahead. In Norse mythology, Yule was very linked to the god Odin, who was the chief of the gods, and Odin led the wild hunt around Yule time, which was a spectral procession of spirits across the winter sky. Odin is also known as Jule-Father or Yule-Father, and he was associated with magic and wisdom and mystery. So there was a certain mysticism of Yule, which makes sense. It's this darkest night. Like, imagine how dark it would have been before electrical lights and before, having ready access to fire, even just being in the darkness, like deep, deep darkness, and how long the darkness would feel in the northern parts of the world this time of year, when it gets dark very early in the afternoon and stays dark until late in the morning. So having this magical god Odin leading the wild hunt and celebrating with the Yule log would have been just an incredible celebration. And I love thinking back to just what it might have felt like before our modern technology, and especially light and electricity. I think we have a hard time maybe imagining exactly how dark it would feel. So that's what makes the lighting of the trees and putting lights up in the house feel so extra good. It's like thinking back into the past of history when it would have been just so powerful. But Odin is an interesting character, because some people have speculated that he was the true origin of Santa Claus. There's this connection between Odin and Santa Claus because one of the things is Santa's 8 reindeer. And many people believe that this has roots in Norse mythology and the evolution of pagan and Christian traditions over time. So Odin was often depicted riding his magical 8-legged horse named Sleipnir, who could gallop through the air and traverse great distances. Sleipnir had this ability to travel swiftly between worlds, and this, has quite a connection with the Santa's airborne sleigh pulled by 8 reindeer. Children would leave offerings such as food or hay for Sleipnir in hopes that Odin would bless them with gifts or good fortune in return. And, you can kind of see the parallels there between this custom and the modern tradition of leaving cookies and milk for Santa and carrots for his reindeer. There's some images of Odin that I've posted on the Substack that resemble Santa Claus in quite a striking way. So as Christianity spread across Europe, many of Odin's traits and traditions were absorbed into the figure of Saint Nicholas, who eventually evolved into Santa Claus. And over time, Sleipnir's 8 legs were reimagined as 8 reindeer pulling Santa's sleigh. It's not set in stone that this is true, but it's a lot of good parallels there. So the number 8 is another powerful number that might have persisted as this symbolic echo of Sleipnir. And it's, pretty fascinating. I recommend looking up Odin and Sleipnir, the 8-legged horse. Otherwise, there's a lot of Yule symbols that were drawn from the natural world, such as holly and ivy and mistletoe and evergreen trees, which again symbolized the eternal life and resilience during these harsh winter months. Feasting and wassailing, offering toasts and blessings for health and prosperity, were also really common around this time. And I just ran into my neighbor as I was walking my dogs, and we talked about having a little holiday happy hour, and he's like, "Yes, we must wassail." And I said, "Great, let's do it." So coming together with neighbors and coming together with community has been an important element of this holiday. Sacrifices and offerings that involved animals or food were also made around Yule to gods and spirits to ensure good fortune in the coming year. It's a very magical time. Astrologically, Yule's timing aligns with Capricorn season, as the winter solstice falls during Capricorn. It arrives with Capricorn. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And so it's a sign that embodies the qualities of discipline, endurance, and structure. And these resonate with the themes of Yule, and all of the symbolism of Yule as well. And the grounded and persevering energy of Capricorn is very much associated with the solstice and the return of the light after the year's darkest point, this gradual mountain climbing, gradual rebuilding of strength and vitality as the sun comes back, and the days get longer. And Saturn's influence is also connected to the cyclical nature of time and these reflective qualities of winter, where introspection and planning for the future are paramount. They're very key to surviving through this season, and also integral to Yule's rituals for ensuring abundance and renewal. I think it's just one of the most important holy days because you have to celebrate during this time of year. You have to come together. You have to light some lights and some fires because otherwise, survival it's harsh out there. The Capricorn goat, the sea goat, has roots in ancient mythology, both in Greek and Babylonian stories. The part goat, part fish combination represents a balance between earthly and watery realms, and also symbolizes a resilience and adaptability and a mix of practicality and intuition. In Greek mythology, the sea goat is linked to Pan, who was the playful god of shepherds and nature, and Pan, during a battle with the terrifying serpent Typhon, he tried to escape by jumping into the Nile River. And to survive, he transformed in a creature that was half goat and half fish. Zeus, who was impressed by Pan's cleverness, honored him by placing the sea-goat in the sky as Capricorn. So that is the Greek rendition of the story. And I have a podcast coming out with Daje Alo of Storyworks Studios, and we go in depth into kind of the symbolism of Pan and the devil and ancient symbolism of Capricorn. So I won't go too deep into that now because I'd love you to listen to that episode that's coming out soon as well, and I will share on Substack. But really interesting. I love the ancient symbolism and history of how Capricorn, the sea-goat, came to be. In Babylonian mythology, just quickly, Capricorn, the sea-goat, was tied to the god Ea or Enki, who was a deity of wisdom and water, and often was depicted as a goat fish, which represented fertility and the life-giving power of water. He had fish coming off of his shoulders that represented the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, and also oftentimes had a baby goat being presented to him in images of the god Enki. And that was because a lot of goats were giving birth around the time of the solstice in ancient Mesopotamia. So this connection gives Capricorn a link to creativity and, again, magic and the blending of practical and emotional energies. So I do believe that very deeply, that Capricorn is practical and emotional and can really hold emotional wisdom in a practical sense very well. I think oftentimes we look at Capricorn as such a kind of stoic sign, but I think that there's a deep emotional intelligence to most Capricorn people that I have met that is, has a deep knowledge of that watery part of themselves, even though it's an earth sign. The goat part of Capricorn, of course, symbolizes the traits of determination, resilience, and that ability to climb great heights. It, is the natural ruler of the 10th house in the chart, the wheel of the year, and the 10th house is all about kind of how we are, what mountains we have climbed, our public perception and our careers and the work that we're doing out in the world. So it is just like real goats that are able to scale steep mountains and persevere through harsh conditions. It's a ambitious sign. Capricorn tends to have ambition aligned with it as oftentimes as an adjective, and drive, and they are just really able to achieve their goals and dreams no matter how tough the path. The fishtail on Capricorn adds that emotional and intuitive side. So Capricorns, again, I think that can stay connected to their feelings and inner wisdom while working towards their dreams. I had a friend, another astrologer in town, who mentioned she had some Capricorn placements. We were talking about the sea-goat, and she's like, oh, well, an interesting part is that she had heard about was that Capricorn could climb the mountain. Like, that's one way to go about it. That's definitely like within them, the ability to climb high peaks and to persevere. But the fish might also symbolize the ability to get to the other side of the mountain simply by swimming around it and kind of taking a shortcut because of its creativity and ingenuity and that kind of magical type quality of Santa Claus and Odin and traveling through space-time. I definitely see this time of year as connected to the magic of the depths in these and our dreams, because the night is so long, we can dream more, and the goals that we come up with are not necessarily just tied to pragmatism. They're tied to our emotional desires and our magical wisdoms that lie within us. So it all connects to each other. So that's a little bit about the sea goats mythology and origin and ties to Saturn and Capricorn and just the season that we're in. But interestingly, far away from Babylon and Greece, in Scandinavia, a goat served as a symbol of Yule for a long time as well. And It has roots dating back to pre-Christian pagan practices, which historically the goat was associated with Thor, the Norse god of thunder, whose chariot was said to be pulled by two magical goats. And their names were Tangrishnir and Tangnoster. Pardon my pronunciation if that's totally wrong. I need to get on my Norse studies. But these goats were believed to embody strength and protection and fertility, very similar again to the sea goats of ancient Mesopotamia. And these were themes that were integral to all midwinter celebrations. Over time, the Yule-Goat became a central figure in Scandinavian folklore and has been linked to Yule festivities as a bringer of gifts or a figure associated with mischief. There is a giant Yule-Goat in Gavle, Sweden, that is a massive straw goat that's constructed annually as a modern homage to this ancient icon. And every year people try to burn it down, and that's not part of it, but there's always a big goat burning, like kind of an arson situation. So it's very well known for like who and how are they going to burn it down, but it's the centerpiece of this town of Gavle, and it's all about that mischievous spirit. When I look at, the festivities in Austria and Germany of Krampus, these kind of demons, there's definitely this goat horn association as well with Krampus. And so, yeah, the goats were such an important part of domesticated, agriculture, letting humans stay in one place. And this is a great time to celebrate any goat that you have in your life. I like goats a lot. You've probably seen these little straw goats that are used in decorations and holiday rituals. They're like made of beautiful waxy straw and have red ribbons tied around them. And they're just a beautiful symbolism for the mythology and history of the Scandinavian season. So as Christianity spread across Europe, as I've mentioned, a lot of these Yule customs like the Yule-Goat and Odin's wild hunt were absorbed into Christian traditions. And it was by the 10th and 11th centuries that Christian missionaries adapted the celebration of Yule to align with Christ's birth, which had been positioned around the winter solstice. And the Yule log and evergreen decorations and the themes of light and renewal were intertwined with Christmas time. So it's a pretty obvious one that blends, a blending of ancient pagan traditions and even pre-pagan. I would say just any human that's living in this dark time of year is going to acknowledge and honor the plants that are resilient and that are alive. And if you can build a fire in the cold, dark time of year, you're going to do it. So it's a human tradition, right? There's a lot there. I remember I was doing a Christmas party for the tech company that I used to be a part of and founded. We had a huge Christmas party every year that was filled with a couple of bands and some performers and just really went all out for the holiday parties. And we were putting up Christmas trees at this kind of, death metal goth warehouse in Oakland one year. And a couple of the guys who were working there as bartenders and helping us set up, we had rented out this space. And the guy was like, he was just so disgruntled that we were filling this pretty, there was like a devil as the logo, and it was like gargoyles and very, very dark inside. And there was a lot of metal shows that would happen there. And so we came in with my team and we're like, okay, bring in the fake snow and the glitter and the Christmas trees and the lights. And the guy was kind of grumbling, but over the course of the night, I got to have a really lovely conversation with him about the pagan roots of Christmas trees. And he seemed to really shine to it. And I think he was going to go get himself a Christmas tree later that year, probably decorated in black ornaments or whatever, which is totally fine too. But I remember it very clearly. He was a young guy and had never really heard of this and just kind of was a hater for the Christmas spirit, it seemed like. But it was nice to connect it to something much more universal. So, in modern times, many people do celebrate Yule as well. The neo-Pagan and Wiccan communities have really revived Yule and celebrate it as a part of the celebration of the Wheel of the Year. So, lighting candles, honoring the solstice, giving gifts, celebrating meals. There's lots of different celebrations that you can do for this time of year, regardless of your stance on Christianity or capitalism or any of the trappings of the season. I am a big fan of looking at the universality of how this season of darkness has influenced us to want to shine the light from our homes and from our hearts. So, however you celebrate the solstice, be sure to take time and give yourself some love. It's the season's assignment with the gate of self-love, carrying us right through the solstice. And this assignment's given to us by the ancient Chinese I Ching and the Wheel of the Year and Odin and Santa Claus too. So give yourself some love. It's so easy to focus on others this time of year and who we need to be getting gifts for, and it can become that's a beautiful way to show love. My daughter keeps saying giving is better than receiving, and I'm like, yeah, girl, that's what self-love is all about, is recognizing how good it feels to shine your light through the process of gift giving, and in any type of way. So give yourself some self-love. And I will see you next Monday as the sun begins to transit through the first full gate of Capricorn season, which is known as Gate 58, the gate of vitality. And again, let me know in the comments how you celebrate the solstice or Yule, if there's any specific traditions in your family or traditions that you're bringing up to the surface. I would love to know about them. And for a solstice wish, I would truly appreciate if you shared this transmission with someone you think would resonate or benefit from it. And if you get anything from listening to this podcast or reading the Substack, I'd love if you subscribe to Substack to get it in your inbox and join the community there, or gave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you listen to podcasts. And thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful solstice. All my love for this deep, dark night of dreams. See you next week.